Homeless at 50, then shelter worker, locked door. We've been searching for you for 30 years. 3 months ago, I was sleeping under a bridge in Denver, eating from dumpsters, wrapped in a torn blanket waiting to die forgotten. My name is Thomas Wade, and until recently I thought I knew exactly who I was. A 50-year-old logistics manager who'd spent his entire life building something solid, something real. But the truth is I was living a lie. My ex-wife, Bridget, married my billionaire boss, Roland Hutchinson, and together they dismantled my entire life piece by piece. They fired me on a Tuesday morning with a smile, took my house, my savings, my reputation, even turned my own kids against me. By the time winter came, I had nothing left but a name and a heartbeat. When I finally checked into the Mercy House shelter on February 18th, I thought I was just another broken man trying to survive one more night. But that day, that single act of desperation, changed everything. The intake worker, Joyce Polson, looked at my ID, then at my face, then back again. Her hands started to tremble. "Your name is Thomas Wade?" she whispered. "Born March 15th, 1974, in Millbrook, Pennsylvania?" I nodded. That's when everything shifted. She stood up so fast her chair slammed into the wall. Then she locked the door and pulled down the blinds. The other men in the waiting room started muttering, confused. Joyce pulled out her phone with shaking fingers. "This is intake station 12, she said. "Authorization code 77 Alpha 9, we found him." "Yes, I'm certain." Thomas Wade just walked through our door. Her face went pale as she listened. "Understood. Locking down now." Then she opened a drawer and pulled out a sealed manila folder. The label read Testament Program, Subject 7. Presumed deceased. Inside was a photo of an infant. The baby had a birthmark on his left shoulder, a crescent moon shape just like mine. Joyce looked at me with a mix of fear and awe. "Mr. Wade," she said quietly, "we've been searching for you for 30 years. According to every government record, you don't exist. You died in a laboratory fire in 1977, when you were 3 years old." I laughed at first. I thought it had to be some mistake, a coincidence. But then she showed me a birth certificate. The name wasn't Thomas Wade. It was Michael Kessler. The mother's name, Dr. Diana Kessler, a biochemist at something called the Testament Research Institute. The father's name completely blacked out. "This is insane," I told her. "I'm nobody. I managed warehouse logistics. My wife left me for my boss. I've been homeless for months." "You've got the wrong guy." Joyce shook her head. "Mr. Wade, in 10 minutes, federal agents will walk through that door. Some will want to protect you. Others might want you dead. But before they arrive, you need to know this. Your mother didn't die in an accident. She was murdered trying to protect you from people who wanted to use you as a weapon." And then she said something that froze my blood. "The man who destroyed your life, Roland Hutchinson, he's been searching for you longer than you can imagine." That's when I realized my entire life had been designed to hide the truth. My blood, my DNA, even my saliva, held secrets powerful enough to make governments kill. And for 47 years, I'd been hiding in plain sight. I wasn't always sleeping under bridges. 6 months earlier, I was Thomas Wade, Regional Logistics Manager at Hutchinson Industries, $78,000 a year, full benefits, company car. 25 years of loyalty. I started from the warehouse floor and worked my way up, learning every route, every contract, every system that kept Hutchinson's empire running. Every morning at 5 a.m., I'd make coffee in our renovated kitchen. Bridget would come downstairs at 6, kiss me on the cheek, and we'd talk about our kids. Meredith, our daughter, had just started working as a nurse. Bradley, our son, was 19, training to be an electrician. We had a quiet life, predictable, safe, or so I thought. Bridget had started working out more, buying new clothes, getting her hair done every 2 weeks. I thought she was just trying to feel good about herself. What I didn't know was that she was sleeping with my boss, Roland Hutchinson, 62, billionaire, defense contractor, the kind of man who smiled like he owned the air you breathed. His first wife died a decade ago. Since then, he'd been collecting younger women like trophies. Bridget caught his eye at a company fundraiser. While I was giving a presentation on efficiency metrics, he was buying her a drink. 2 years later, I came home to find a lawyer in my living room with divorce papers already signed. Bridget didn't even look at me. "I haven't been happy for years," she said. "You're married to your job. I need someone who sees me. I tried to fight it. Hired my own lawyer, burned through my savings. But Roland's money bought her everything. The house, both cars, 60% of our savings, and even alimony. And then, the next day, Roland called me into his office. Bridget was there. He didn't even pretend to care. "Tom," he said, "your position's being eliminated. Effective immediately." Security escorted me out with a cardboard box, a coffee mug, a few family photos, and a stress ball shaped like a globe. 25 years of work reduced to a box. Every job interview afterward went the same way. Interest, enthusiasm, rejection. Hutchinson's shadow followed me everywhere. When I ran out of money, I stayed with my brother Dennis, but my drinking drove him away. My mother offered to help, but I couldn't bear to burden her. The truth is, I was drowning in shame. Bridget turned my kids against me, showed them fake evidence that I'd been stealing from the company. Meredith blocked my number. Bradley came once, just once, to look me in the eye and say, "You've ruined everything, Dad." By winter, I was living in a storage unit. When they caught me, they auctioned off the last pieces of my life. Christmas Eve, I slept under a bridge while families opened gifts in warm houses. That's when I met Felix Rodriguez, a Vietnam vet who'd been homeless for 5 years. He found me half frozen behind a liquor store. He wrapped me in a sleeping bag and stayed up all night to make sure I didn't die. "You're not going to make it another week out here," he told me. "Go to Mercy House, they'll help you. But you got to go today and while you can still walk." I listened. And walking through those doors led me straight into the truth I'd been running from my entire life. When the knock came on that intake room door, 3 sharp raps that echoed like gunshots, Joyce looked at me with fear in her eyes. "Mr. Wade," she said quietly, "whatever happens next, remember this. Your mother died to give you a choice, and now you're going to have to make another one." I walked 4 miles through knee-deep snow to reach Mercy House. My feet were numb, my boots held together with duct tape, and I was coughing blood into a rag that used to be a shirt. The shelter was a converted warehouse, brown brick stained by decades of weather and neglect, barred windows, rusted doors. To most people it looked like a prison, but to me it looked like salvation. Inside, the lobby was packed with men who'd given up on giving up, slumped in plastic chairs, eyes vacant, waiting for their names to be called like patients in purgatory. The intake process was designed to strip away whatever dignity you had left. They searched my pockets for weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Then they sprayed me with delousing powder that burned my skin and made my eyes water. My clothes were taken to be washed, and I was handed a gray jumpsuit that smelled like industrial bleach and other men's despair. For 3 hours I waited, watching the clock, praying they wouldn't run out of beds before they got to me. When Joyce Polson finally called my name at window 12, I shuffled forward like a broken man, because that's exactly what I was. She was typing before I even sat down, moving through the motions of another intake. "Name?" she asked, eyes on the screen. "Thomas Wade," I rasped, my voice raw from pneumonia. She typed. "Date of birth?" "March 15th, 1974. More typing. "Place of birth?" "Millbrook, Pennsylvania." That's when everything changed. Her fingers froze over the keyboard. Slowly, she looked up, really looked at me, as if she were seeing a ghost. Then she stood so suddenly her chair crashed into the filing cabinet behind her, and she almost ran to the back office. The men around me started murmuring. "What's his problem?" one muttered. "Probably got warrants," another said. "They're calling the cops." But it wasn't the cops Joyce was calling. She came back with a man in a navy suit who looked completely out of place in a homeless shelter. He had silver gray hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of posture that screamed authority. "Mr. Wade," he said, his voice calm but charged with something else. Excitement barely contained. "I need you to listen very carefully. What I'm about to ask may sound strange, but it's extremely important. Do you have any memories from before you were adopted?" I frowned. "Adopted? What are you talking about? I wasn't adopted. Ruth and Kenneth Wade are my parents." Joyce and the man exchanged a look that made my stomach twist. "Mr. Wade," she said gently, "would you consent to some biometric scans? Fingerprints, retinal scan, DNA swab." "It's not criminal." Your name triggered a federal alert for protected persons. I was too weak to argue, too sick to care. They led me to a small room filled with equipment that looked far too advanced for a homeless shelter. Joyce pressed my fingers onto a scanner, photographed my retinas, and swabbed my cheek. Each test ended with a beep, a green light, and her growing panic. "It's him," she whispered. "A 9.9% match. Testament subject 7. He's been alive all this time." The man, Director Harrison Blackwood, as I later learned, immediately pulled out a military-grade phone. "This is Director Blackwood, Department of Displaced Persons. Authorization 77 Alpha 9. We've located Testament subject Wade, yes, I'm certain. Implement containment protocol. No one enters or leaves the facility." My heart started pounding. What the hell is Testament? "I just need a bed." "I think you've got me mixed up with someone else." Blackwood sat across from me, his expression calm but urgent. "Mr. Wade, in about 10 minutes this building will be surrounded by federal agents. Some have been searching for you for 30 years. Others wish you'd never been found. Either way, your life as Thomas Wade ends today. But before they get here, you need to understand who you really are." Joyce returned with a thick manila folder stamped in red. "Classified. Testament Program, Subject 7. Presumed deceased, 1977. She set it on the table like it was radioactive. Inside were photographs, medical files, and government documents describing someone named Michael Kessler, born in a facility called the Testament Research Institute, to Dr. Diana Kessler and a father whose name had been blacked out so thoroughly it bled through the pages. "This can't be real," I muttered, staring at a baby photo. The infant had my birthmark, my eye color, even the same crooked ears Bridget used to tease me about. "Your mother was brilliant," Blackwood said, sliding another photo toward me, a young woman in a lab coat. Dark hair pulled back, eyes identical to mine. Diana Kessler. MIT at 19, PhD in biochemistry by 23. She was recruited by the government in 1970 for a classified genetics program. They told her she'd be curing diseases, eliminating birth defects. But the Department of Defense had other plans. Joyce handed me another document, a project outline for the Testament program. Its true purpose spelled out in chilling detail: creating genetically enhanced individuals for military and intelligence applications. Enhanced strength, accelerated healing, superior cognition, resistance to disease and toxins. Between 1973 and 1977, 7 subjects were created. 6 died before their first birthday. Only subject 7 survived. "You were the success," Blackwood said. "A 1 in a billion combination of your mother's intellect and your father's physical traits. But when Dr. Kessler discovered the military's plan to replicate you and build an army of enhanced soldiers, she tried to destroy the program." He placed another document in front of me, a security report dated November 15, 1977. Catastrophic fire. 2 confirmed deaths, 1 missing child. Research destroyed. But beneath that report was a handwritten letter in faded ink, Diana's letter. Joyce read it aloud. "If you're reading this, my son Michael is safe, and I am gone. The people I worked for are monsters who would turn children into weapons. I've destroyed all the research and everything except Michael himself. Please raise him as your own. Never let him know what he is. His new name is Thomas Wade. Let him live a normal life. It's the only gift I can give him." My hands were shaking. The photos, the reports, even the obituary calling her death a tragic accident. It all lined up. Ruth and Kenneth Wade, my parents, had been listed as unable to conceive. A few months later, they adopted a 3-year-old boy from Pennsylvania. Me Blackwood continued, voice steady. "The Testament program was never officially shut down. Some within the government have been searching for you ever since. Some want to study you. Others want to weaponize you. And in recent years, private defense contractors have been trying to restart the project." He slid another photo across the table, and the room seemed to tilt. Roland Hutchinson shaking hands with General Morrison, former Testament program director, at a defense conference in 2018. Another image, Hutchinson Industries acquiring a biotech firm specializing in genetic research. A document labeled Testament Revival Initiative. "Roland Hutchinson has been looking for you," Joyce said softly. "Not Thomas Wade, but Subject 7. He spent over $40 million trying to recover the original research." My mind raced. The pieces started falling into place. The way I never got sick, not even when my family did. How I could work 18-hour shifts without fatigue. How I could calculate supply routes in my head faster than computers. How wounds that should have taken weeks healed in days. Your blood, your DNA, your bone marrow, Blackwood said quietly. They hold the keys to the most successful genetic enhancement in history. Governments would pay billions. Pharmaceutical companies would kill for a sample. And Roland Hutchinson, the man who destroyed your life, would become unstoppable if he ever got you. I leaned back, the weight of 30 years of lies crushing down on me. So what happens now? You lock me in a lab? Turn me into a test subject? No, Blackwood said. Diana Kessler died to give you a choice. We're honoring that. You have 3 options. 1, disappear. We give you a new name, a new life, and enough money to vanish forever. 2, work with us. Help our medical team study your DNA for humanitarian research only as your mother intended. Or 3, he hesitated. Pretend this never happened. Go back to your old life. I stared at the folder and at the name Michael Kessler. Then I looked up. There's a 4th option, I said quietly. Blackwood frowned. And what's that? Roland thinks Thomas Wade is dead, right? Then maybe it's time for someone else to walk into his world. Someone with the right background. Someone who can get close to his research. His eyes widened. You're talking about going undercover in the organization of the man who ruined you. I'm talking about justice, I said. And maybe a little revenge. The transformation took 6 months. The Department of Displaced Persons officially declared Thomas Wade dead. A John Doe pulled from the South Platte River. Identified through fabricated dental records. At my memorial, Bridget played the grieving widow perfectly, tears falling as Roland held her hand. My children stood beside the empty casket, Meredith sobbing into her husband's shoulder, Bradley stoic but trembling. I watched from a parked car across the cemetery. 40 pounds heavier, hair dyed black, eyes changed with contacts. I was gone and but more alive than ever. My new name was Martin Cross, a defense logistics consultant with a flawless paper trail. Harvard MBA, 10 years with a private military contractor, specialization in supply chain optimization for high-security projects. The kind of resume that made men like Roland Hutchinson salivate. Through Blackwood's network, I was placed inside Hutchinson Industries as if I'd always been there. Within 3 weeks, I was sitting in the same office where Roland had once fired me, this time as a candidate for a senior position. Martin, he said, glancing at my credentials. Your experience is exactly what we need. We're moving highly sensitive biological materials. The last manager was a disaster, drank himself to death from what I hear. Pathetic. I smiled, hiding the storm inside me. 2 months later, I had full access to Roland's Testament Revival Initiative. He was closer than anyone realized. He'd recovered over 60% of the original data through black market channels and corrupt officials. His scientists were 3 years away from their first enhanced subject. Meanwhile, the government's medical team, studying my DNA in secret, made groundbreaking discoveries. Dr. Patricia Ningguan, their lead geneticist, found that my genetic structure could potentially cure muscular dystrophy, ALS, and dozens of other hereditary disorders. For the first time in decades, I felt something powerful, and not fear, not despair, but purpose. Your mother wasn't trying to create a weapon, Dr. Ningguan told me during one of our sessions. She was trying to eliminate human suffering. The military corrupted her vision, but the original science, the pure intent, it could save millions of lives. Every week, I sent intelligence to Blackwood, details of Roland's operations, shipments of illegal genetic material, bribes to foreign officials, violations of international bioethics laws. Together, we built a case designed to destroy him completely. But for me, justice wasn't enough. I wanted Roland to know who brought him down. The hardest part was staying away from my family. I sent anonymous packages to both my children, each filled with evidence of their mother's betrayal. Bank records of Roland's payments to Bridget during their affair. Emails where they planned my termination. Security footage proving I was in my office at the exact times they claimed I was embezzling funds. Days later, Meredith called the number I'd included, a burner phone I kept hidden for her. "Dad," she sobbed when I answered. "Oh my God, Dad, we know everything." Mom admitted it when we confronted her. Bradley's here too, we're so sorry. Please come home, I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I couldn't. I can't come back, sweetheart, I said, disguising my voice but not my love. Just know that I never stole anything. I never betrayed anyone. I love you both more than life itself. Take care of each other. Trust your instincts. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous enemies come dressed as friends. My next call was harder. Ruth Wade, my adoptive mother, was fading fast in her nursing home. The FBI had told her I was dead. Tommy, she cried when she heard my voice. I knew you weren't gone. A mother knows. But they gave me a letter from someone named Diana. She said you were special, that you were born to change the world. Why didn't you tell me you were adopted? Because you're my real mother, I told her firmly. You and Dad saved me, raised me, loved me when my birth mother couldn't. Biology doesn't make family, love does. You gave me everything that made me human. The end came on a Thursday. Federal agents raided Hutchinson Industries with full warrants. Roland was arrested in his office, the same office where he'd once destroyed Thomas Wade. He was charged with 37 counts of illegal genetic trafficking, bioweapons development, and conspiracy. Bridget was named as a co-conspirator, her role in hiding assets fully exposed. She lost everything: the house, the cars, the jewelry Roland had bought her with blood money. I was there when they brought him out in handcuffs. Standing among the employees watching their empire collapse, Roland looked right at me. Martin Cross, the trusted consultant who'd been feeding evidence to the feds for months. And in that one look, he saw it, the truth. He saw Thomas Wade staring back at him. The recognition hit him like a physical blow. His face went pale, his knees gave out, and he had to be held up by the agents. Felix, the veteran who saved my life that freezing night under the bridge, now lives in a small Denver apartment. His rent is paid, his medical care covered, his dignity restored, all by an anonymous benefactor. Mercy House Shelter received a $10 million donation from an offshore account, enough to expand their medical services and add 100 new beds. Joyce Polson still works there, still saving lives, still looking for the lost and forgotten. Dr. Diana Kessler's research, purified of its military corruption, is changing the world. Children once doomed by genetic disorders are living full, healthy lives. Veterans once paralyzed or brain damaged are walking, talking, laughing again. My blood, my genetics, my mother's sacrifice. They all meant something in the end. Today, I remain Martin Cross, traveling between research facilities, overseeing the legitimate transport of medical breakthroughs born from my DNA. But some nights, when the city sleeps and silence fills my apartment, I remember being Thomas Wade, a father, a husband, a man who believed in hard work and loyalty. Roland and Bridget took that life from me. But in doing so, they gave me something greater: purpose. The lesson is simple but profound. Sometimes you have to lose everything to discover who you truly are. Thomas Wade was destroyed by betrayal, crushed by cruelty, left to die in the cold. But from that destruction came truth. I learned that I was never ordinary, never just another man pushing paper in a warehouse. I was Diana Kessler's son, Testament Subject 7. A living medical miracle born from tragedy, now saving lives my mother could only dream of saving. Every morning, I wake up in my secure apartment overlooking the Denver skyline and think about the journey. From a cardboard box outside Hutchinson Industries to a cardboard box beneath a bridge. From Thomas Wade to nobody, to Michael Kessler, to Martin Cross. Each name stripped away what didn't matter until only the truth remained. We are not our names, not our jobs, not our possessions or even our families. We are our choices, our actions, the lives we touch. Roland Hutchinson now sits in federal prison serving 70 years. His empire divided among the victims of his crimes. Bridget lives with her sister in Nebraska, working as a cashier. Her children refuse to speak to her. And somewhere in the mountains of Colorado, there's a grave marked Thomas Wade, 1974-2024, husband, father. It's empty, but the man it represents was always empty, a shell hiding something extraordinary. My name is Martin Cross now. But I'm also Michael Kessler, and once I was Thomas Wade. I'm the homeless man who survived, the experiment who escaped, the victim who became the victor. And if you're watching this, if my story reached you, remember this: your lowest moment might be the doorway to your true purpose. The people who destroy you might be giving you the gift of resurrection. And sometimes, justice comes dressed as a homeless man, walking into a shelter with nothing left, except 30 years of secrets and the power to change the world.